Hi, welcome to our Tandem author interview series. My name is Dwin, and I'm really excited to be sitting down here with Lourdes Rivas, who wrote this really cool book, They Call Me Mix. And I'm really excited to have you here in our offices today.
Thank you.
So I wanted to start with asking you about when you started expressing yourself creatively. And was it writing first or drawing or something different?
I started, I guess, I feel like every kid starts off being a creative being. And really when I think about that question, I think about when do we stop being creative? And I guess the moment that those crossed for me was when I started writing poetry and short stories. I think I was around 12 and I started journaling. I think I was gifted a journal for my birthday, and I just started writing in it, and I soon learned that it really helped me process feelings and just kind of the day, and it just kind of helped me understand what was happening in my day-to-day.
Awesome.
As a kid.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely have the same thing. My mom gave me a journal, and I was like, I'm going to write in this a lot. And now reading it later is really fun to see what things I was writing about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember a particular moment that inspired you to become a writer?
When I was writing poetry, I imagined myself kind of publishing, I'm going to be a published poet one day. And I would actually submit poetry to at the time, when we had a computer, and I was poetry.com and there was this, a website came up, and they had they had an anthology of all the submissions and stuff. So I would submit to these random places and it was probably all spam, I don't know, but I would get responses back your poetry has been published, do you want to purchase this book now? And I was a kid, I can't purchase it, but wow, I'm published. And I believed it. I don't know if that actually was true back then, but yeah. But I didn't. That's when I started kind of imagining myself as I can be a published writer one day. But I never imagined that it would be for a children's book. Right. I always imagined it would be a novel, or because at that time I was really into psychological thriller, thick books.
Right.
Or this chapter series called Fearless. I was really into those, and I was reading a lot. In middle school, I actually don't remember reading many books in elementary school at all. But in middle school, I was reading a lot, and I imagined myself being a writer of those kinds of books,
right.
A series or a novel or something like that, right. A memoir, I don't know.
Right. And there's still time.
Yeah.
So this book is autobiographical. And what was it like for you to question gender as a young person without any role models in your community?
I actually didn't start questioning my gender or really understanding my gender fully until I was in my 20s. But as a young person, it was hard. It wasn't even in my scope of imagination for myself, that I could, be say outwardly that, hey, I don't actually feel like a girl when you say girl or niña, or to me, I don't, that doesn't really match with how I feel. I had no kind of language for that kind of possibility, and so it was definitely hard. And I think I touched a little bit on that in the book with I never felt okay, but I had no words to explain, don't call me niña or don't call me girl, or she. But yeah, I mean, representation is really important.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. How has your intersectional identity, so being LGBT and Latinx, influenced your work as an author, but also as a teacher, because you teach at a Berkeley public school?
Right. I mean, I think the biggest way it influences that is how I relate to my students. Because everything, the way that I teach and the way that I connect with them is just very queer in a way, but it's right. Just, because they'll ask me questions and, are you a boy or a girl? And there's always a different way to respond. And so I just try to keep it open to many possible answers.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's all in the way that I build relationships with my students and the families.
Awesome. And so then how does this book challenge stereotypes about gender and ethnicity, in your eyes at least?
Well, I feel like in the way that I wrote it, I tried to make it so that I was really trying to untangle what the gender binary, how it comes out, and how kids kind of learn it. I try to keep in mind how kids come to me in the classroom like with these really solid embedded ideas about gender already, and I was trying to start from that place that I already know. Like kids come into the classroom thinking about gender, and I tried to write it in such a way where we can start there and then untangle from there. Like what is binary? What is around you that is always gendered and always gendered in this very binary way? Things that you see in your day-to-day, like toy stores, y'all go there, but do you notice that it's always divided, and there are people that don't actually identify with either or.
Right. That
can be very hard for them.
Right.
For us.
Right. So I know you teach in a Spanish immersion classroom.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges of teaching about those gender differences when you're speaking a language like Spanish that is fairly binary? Or I think traditionally it's fairly binary.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of debate out there about can Spanish, about the queering of Spanish, because a lot of people say that it's not possible, or like you're speaking Spanish wrong if you use if you're not using ella or él. But I forgot the question.
It's okay. So what are the challenges about teaching gender differences when you're using a binary language like Spanish?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is those kind of comments that mostly come from adults, not really kids. Kids, when you present something to them that's new, it's just it's like incorporated into their knowledge. They're like, oh, okay, so this is also possible.
Right.
But I think the biggest challenge is hearing those kind of comments, mostly from parents. But I actually haven't heard from parents at my school comments like that. It's mostly like coming out of curiosity, not like being antagonistic. But I have read comments on the internet, and I shouldn't read the comments. But
yeah, that's what they say. Stay out of the comment sections.
Stay out of the comments, yeah.
We have a visitor, Claire. So as an educator, what do you think your students, or really any students, would be learning from when they read this book?
Hopefully that how important it is to use people's correct gender pronouns, and to not, hopefully also to be a little more curious as you walk around the world and not assuming people's gender, gender pronouns, and
no, that's really great.
Important that can be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really love especially that this is bilingual Spanish and English. I've seen books that are similar in talking about gender and pronouns in English, for sure. I've never seen that in Spanish. It's really cool. And as someone who's learning Spanish now, I'm like, there's a whole new world of language I didn't even know existed. Yeah. It's very exciting.
And there's different ways to play with it, too. Yeah. Some people just use the X, and some people use a combination.
Right.
I love them all. I think the more that you play with it, the more fun it can be. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. That's such a testament to how alive language is, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And so as an advocate, what conversations do you hope that children will be having with their parents after they read a book like this?
I would really love for this kind of thinking about gender to be embedded into the way that we teach kids how to be kind. When we talk about being kind, or using our words to express ourselves, or being respectful, I would hope that when people share their preferred gender pronouns with you, you respect them. This is how we respect them. We use them, and we or when we talk about words can hurt people. When you use the incorrect pronoun word, those are words that can hurt people. So just kind of, I hope that those conversations become more common, and into how we, the shared values that we all have is, be kind, be respectful, and hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, good lessons for both kids and the adults around them.
Yeah.
Good lessons at any age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, not moving away from specifically your book, but just books and stories in general, what do you think is the value of storytelling with young children?
Well, I mean, storytelling is how kids make sense of their world. And so I think, storytelling really develops their voice in advocating for themselves and explaining how, like, what happens internally, externally. Storytelling is everything. I feel like it's how they go about the world and make sense of it and express themselves and hopefully eventually become creators and writers.
Awesome. And then what does make a story powerful and engaging for kids or for adults?
What I've seen in the classroom, usually it's books about real people.
Mm-hmm.
I find that kids in my classroom, at least, get really excited when I tell them, when I present a book to them and I say, this is about a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they're always like, are they dead now or are they still alive? So then we'll go into that. But just in general, across the board, whether dead or alive still, they get really excited about real people's stories. Right. And I think also, like, keeping it, depending on the age, keeping it simple. And I feel like, with this story, I wanted to keep it really simple, but at the same time, I feel like it's not very simple. It's not that as simple as I thought it was going to be. But there was just so much. I'm like, now more ideas are brewing for kind of more simple, but still, the same. A book's about gender, but a little more simple and digestible for younger kids.
So it just means more books to write, really.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to children who see this book and say, oh, I really want to be an author one day? Or if you don't have great advice for kids yet, maybe you don't yet, what is advice that you've been given that's particularly good or helpful?
You can do it. Like, I mean, it's possible. There are ways you can self-publish. This was possible because I enrolled in Maria Cristina Gonzalez's online classroom. She has this whole guide for how to self-publish, and signing up for that and really looking at, like, it just made it feel really possible because it's so, like, user-friendly. And this book is all thanks to, like, that seed that Maria Cristina Gonzalez planted.
Awesome. And I will say, for friends watching online, you should definitely go back to last month. We actually had Maria Cristina Gonzalez in here when she sat down with one of our AmeriCorps Vista members, Odette, and I believe she actually talked about that program at the end of the thing. So people should definitely go back, check it out, watch her, and then go check out this program for sure. And then one last question. So at Tandem, obviously we're big fans of children's books. So we have to end every interview by asking the same question. What is your favorite children's book? Or if you can't think of just one, because I think nobody's able to think of just one, you could give like 5, 10, whatever. Give a general couple of favorites.
Yeah, there are so many. I think right now I'm really loving the latest one that Maria Cristina Gonzalez illustrated, the When You Love Someone, You Sing to Them.
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, so tender, and very queer.
Okay. Oh, actually, no, someone was reading it at the children's diverse book fair in December. It was a drag queen reading.
Yes.
It was drag queen and I did hear it. It was really pretty.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'm really loving that one. But I also love the pronoun book, he, she, they, me, free to be.
Yeah.
And just another favorite, Yuyi Morales. I love all of her books, and all of Catherine Otoshi's books.
Okay. Yeah.
1, 2, 0. I love those a lot too.
Awesome.
A lot of favorites.
I mean, it's hard to get it down to just a couple because there are so many good ones out there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then I guess this isn't really a question. This is just so your book is available for pre-order still.
Order now.
It's order now. Okay, now it's available for order. And I know you're having a book launch party this month.
Yes.
On the 27th.
Right, Sunday, January 27th, 12 to 3 at Eastside Arts Alliance in East Oakland.
And everyone should definitely check it out. We'll be sure to post a link on our Facebook, so if you are seeing this interview, you can go and click on that and then make sure you show up and check out this amazing book and get yourself a copy.
And we're also having Drag Queen Read Aloud with Panda Dulce.
Then you definitely should go because Drag Queen Story Hour is not to be missed.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Thank everybody on Facebook for watching, and I can't wait to see who we have next month. Thank you again.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
say bye, Tandem friends.
Bye.